Hi, my name's Jo Hadley, and this is my podcast, Being a Human Lighthouse. I'm a somatic counselor these days, and that means I help people tune into their own inner wisdom, which is often covered up by all the patterns and traumas and faulty beliefs that we've accumulated in our life, mostly as coping strategies for situations when we were young and unable to choose any differently. They're often patterns that have helped us in the past that are now inhibiting our growth. We can even have picked these patterns up from our ancestors and basically just picked up the torch from previous generations because these energies haven't been integrated. So my fundamental belief is if we are trying to activate a person's inner wisdom, what is that inner wisdom? And for me, that is accessing our soul. Our soul is connected to an energy field that's all around us that connects us. My passion is spirituality and science. And science has long known for 100 years since quantum physics began that there is this 0 point field that surrounds everything that was originally considered to have no effect or no energy. But in fact, when we get into the quantum level, everything is mind-blowing and really fascinating. And when I link that back to what happens in our body, what happens with patterns, the energy that's stuck in our cellular structures, our emotional bodies, because we're not just physical, we are energetic beings. Nothing is actually truly, well, there's very little that's actually solid and physical. The percentage is under 5%, which is mind-blowing. And I know everyone says, well, we can see everyone and we can touch things. But in fact, we don't actually touch anything. We're actually just feeling the result of another magnetic field, electromagnetic field. I don't particularly want to go down that path today. But my point was, if I'm trying to help others access their inner wisdom and access their own soul, it must be within us all along. There must be just these other coping strategies and patterns and traumas that have basically just smeared like mud or dirt over the top. So we can't see or feel this inner wisdom, this inner guidance, our true self as clearly as we could. I do this work for myself. Again, I'm human. I'm on the path like everybody else. I believe as a collective, we're all having to look within and see the traumas and coping strategies, ours collectively and ancestrally, that are blocking our vitality and our health, blocking our relationships, just inhibiting or creating chaos in our lives. Often the coping strategies are just these old patterns replaying themselves over and over again in slightly different scenarios. But if you actually go underneath, you can see there's a similar energetic layer to everything, and you can often go back and find where that began, and that's often where the true healing is. It's the energetic root to that problem. Sometimes that can be past life therapy. I remember many years ago, I was drawn to the books of Dr. Brian Weiss, who was a psychiatrist who stumbled across past life regression doing hypnosis with his clients. I attended quite a few lectures of his when he came to Australia. And he was at that point doing like global regressions in these lectures. And I had a couple of interesting experiences myself. I've read all his books, and people were often, as they went back to these past lives, if they found the energetic memory of a problem, it often then was brought back to the current life and enabled them to heal something that had trouble healing. That's just past life therapy. There is also just going back to what our ancestors are feeling or have felt and didn't resolve. There's lots of research on that. Many Indigenous cultures have often said that we affect at least 7 generations before and after us, and science is proving that absolutely correct. It's not necessarily the genes and the DNA, it's the environment creates the expression of the genes, and this can get inherited and passed down. Of course, if we are brought up by people who behave a certain way because they're responding to their own trauma, and we're in that environment, of course, we pick up that behavior. It can be learned as well. For me, this is all fascinating and really interesting. Understanding how it all began is fascinating, but how do we change it? How do we integrate it? How do we actually access our own wisdom so we clear all these energies from the past? We clear the ancestral energies and emotions that are influencing our ancestors' life and our life. Knowing how it began is always important. But what I'm passionate about is how do we clear it so we can actually live 100% according to our heart and our soul, connected to this source energy that is all around us. I think I've been having to learn a lot of lessons in the past few years about presence. I remember when I got really sick in Italy a couple of years ago, I was amazed at how great I was at staying in the moment for over 24 hours while I was really sick on a plane, and really frightened that I was going to get sicker in mid-flight, because to get back to Australia is usually at least the 24-hour mark. And some of the flights are like 15 hours at one stretch. So when you're in the air, you can't do much. And I remember getting on the plane, knowing that I was getting worse and feeling terribly frightened, but knowing I'd rather die on the plane than stay where I was. I wanted to get back home and at least be surrounded by people who can understand me and knew me and where I felt safe. So I managed in that 24-hour flight to really stay present. I just focused on every breath. I focused on my sensations. I know I was present in every moment. I just stayed there and went, breathe in, breathe out. You're still here now. And just really tuning in to the present moment. I remember after I got back home, and of course I survived, that I was really proud of myself and thought I'd mastered presence. I thought, that's it. I'm now a presence master. If I can stay for over 24 hours completely present, I can do this. But of course, I noticed myself slipping back and forgetting. And at times I can get booted out of presence. But I'm definitely a lot better and a lot quicker at getting back into presence. And it made me realize that sometimes I had a faulty belief about presence and even spiritual growth. I catch myself with these old faulty beliefs that sometimes come back, that I know aren't true, that there is a perfection, that I'm aiming for perfection, that when you're actually on a spiritual path, everything should work out and everything should be easy and everything should be light. Well, there's an aspect of this, but also presence is, is about allowing what is unfolding now. And in this three-dimensional world that we live in, everything isn't perfect and light and free. We have challenges, we have these traumas, we have these issues, we have these faulty beliefs, these things that do change our body chemistry, our bioelectricity. It influences how we behave, how we perceive the world, our health. And that is fundamentally what we are working on when we do the type of work that I do, presence, somatic work in the body, recognizing where all these energies are kept and held in the body, because it's only through presence and witnessing and feeling safe that we can allow them to integrate and melt and merge. I'll say we when I the collective we, when I know I for myself, and I know it is a common pattern, that we avoid the unpleasant, the uncomfortable, when we're meant to be able to sit with it and allow the discomfort to come up. It needs to be witnessed, but safely. Remember, there's no absolutes. There's no one thing. Because yes, sometimes there are some horrific, overwhelming experiences that you can't sit with, that sometimes they do need distraction. Sometimes you do need to do things in a much slower, much more supported, therapeutic way. So there's no absolutes. So I'm talking generally. And if there's anything extremely overwhelming, then you definitely need to have a professional guide you through this. A lot of what I talk about here is just like things we can do on our own when we're not overwhelmed. Even when we're doing this do-it-yourself, self-integration, which I've done, most of it is what we do. Even when we have other people assisting us, we still have to do most of it on our own. Just sometimes we need guidance and support of someone ahead of us, someone who can make us feel safe, someone can hold these emotions and allow us to feel safe as we feel them and experience them. That's the work I love doing. We can do this on our own, but it's also much more powerful to do it with another safe witness. But even for me, when I'm doing this work, there are times when I can just do too much. There's too much meditation. There's too much presence. There's too much this. And sometimes I will choose to consciously numb out by watching TV, or I'll read, or sometimes I'll consciously have a look at social media. But I'm doing it consciously. Definitely much more consciously these days. In the past, a lot of television, a lot of watching TV, there'd be a lot of things I did that would just be to avoid discomfort. But now I know that when I get overwhelmed, when it's all too much and I've spent enough time in silence, I've spent enough time sitting with the unpleasant emotions, I will use a good lightweight drama or comedy, film or TV show, to just let me numb out so I don't have to feel the intensity, because you can't feel the intensity all the time. It's too much. We have to balance it out with joy and peace and lightness and find other activities that bring us these qualities. So presence is being able to be with whatever is showing up. And sometimes that can be challenging. Sometimes that can be unpleasant, because when we do sit in meditation, when we do a lot of inner work, it's uncomfortable. It's unpleasant. It's because we avoid the stuff that doesn't feel good. There's a faulty belief that it will be too much for us. I sometimes get these feelings that this overwhelm is going to be way too much. And sometimes I will distract myself if it does. And then I realize in a day or so later, it's past. It was just a wave of emotion. And I know that I've got a set of tools to help me get through the really high, intense peaks. I had one of these a couple of weeks ago, and I went walking. Felt the emotions, but I also had friends and family hold space for me and allow me to just process and just cry out some of this stuff. And within a few days, it had passed. And as I said in a previous podcast, my other circumstances hadn't changed. That intense emotional feeling that this was forever was temporary and past. So just giving it a chance, give it 24 hours to see what you're like in 24 hours is a good way to view some of the unpleasant patterns. And having a whole lot of tools in the toolbox is always handy, because one doesn't work all the time. There's never just one way for anything. So presence is a really important part of the inner journey, finding our true self. But it means letting go of all the dirt and the grime that has covered up this true self. Of course, dirt and grime is going to be a little bit unpleasant. It's going to feel not too good. I do know in the past, I've always had this heartfelt pull towards the spiritual, towards higher meaning, some higher purpose in life to understand what it all means. But I often didn't go down truly spiritual paths that were open because I often felt that there was a lot of people that I met. I don't know whether not everyone is going to be like this. There's going to be people who actually have got to the other side, who have let things go, that are very much high consciousness. But often there are a lot of people on the spiritual path, or at least who I met, that were very much about higher peace and love, but they'd squashed all the bad stuff and their shadow was not being addressed. So I felt like it was an imbalance and it wasn't the path that I wanted to go down. Just didn't want to go there. Now I understand that I'm really good at seeing when people have traumas, and I'm really good at seeing when people have energies that haven't been integrated. It's a skill that I have. And I'm aware that it probably developed and got honed as a child because my mother had depression and anxiety. And she, at one time, was extremely flat, had no emotion, and had to be hospitalized. And I know at that time it used to really upset me. If I come across people with a similar energy, I do feel myself having this little memory activation going. But I've become aware and yes, I've become aware that this is a little trigger for me and I know where it's come from. So I give myself some space to notice it and let it come up and sit with it and go, the other person's issue is not my issue. I don't have to heal it. Because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to heal my mother. So I often over the years would get so frustrated if I come across these people and I couldn't heal them. I couldn't get through to them. So now I just feel the energy and go, oh, there I am. There's that old energy again that I feel like I need to do something. It's my responsibility. And I remember that it's not. We all have to go on the path on our own. And it's only if someone asks for my assistance or needs me to be a catalyst that I can help them. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people on the spiritual path will often, I guess it's often called spiritual bypassing, but often their own traumas, their own issues, just the coping, not in a judgmental way, it's the coping strategies that we've all had, from, not great things that have happened in childhood have happened to our parents and their ancestors. If we haven't felt those and allowed ourselves to feel that discomfort and the pain and process that, it can stay there creating havoc in our lives, in our health, in our relationships, and how we're perceived by others. So that's why I'm really grateful to find a lot of the speakers and people that I follow today. The work that I do has basically shown me that, yeah, we all want to get to this inner layer, but to get there, we have to be present and we have to be able and willing, even if it's in teeny weeny little teaspoons or micro doses, address the darker energies, the unpleasant energies that we have within our energy bodies, our cellular system, that we've developed as coping strategies from the past. All of it can be healed. It just takes time and patience and willingness and allowance. So that's what I do with myself. I try to be as present as possible because presence is a great way, one of the best ways to allow this gunk to come up and be seen. And when it comes up, that's the first stage of healing, or it's a really important part of the healing or integration process, I should say. I've noticed, and I still get a little bit annoyed sometimes, I can have a meditation and I feel so light and peaceful, or a group meditation and I feel, oh, I just love this energy. It's so wonderful. And other times I can meditate and, oh, all the gunk comes up. Now, I know a lot of in times in the past, I would just think I was doing things wrong. And I know people often stop because they think something's going wrong. But when the body feels safe enough, it does allow the gunk to come to the surface. It's why we meditate. It's why we go into presence. It's to allow this stuff to come up and be seen. Because until we see it, till we feel it, till we integrate it, it's going to be bubbling away in the background, influencing a lot of things we do in our life. So being present is the best present I think we can give ourselves. And knowing that it isn't about just feeling good. It isn't about everything going perfectly. In fact, I used to think, and sometimes I still catch myself believing this, even though I know it's not true, that the more you go down this path, the more inner you go. Yes, the health should get better because we're more allowing our true vitality to come through. We're not allowing our nervous system to be blocked by chronic stresses and traumas and things that all this energies that are blocking our energy fields and cellular structures takes the energy away from our immune system and digestive system, waste a lot of our energy. Yes, as we clear this, we should be healthier. Yes, we should be. But also, too, sometimes the further we go in this path, we can actually end up getting some chronic issues or some pains or something comes up that has to be witnessed and seen. And it doesn't necessarily mean we're wrong or doing the wrong thing. It's just we're ready for a deeper challenge. So I know that I have this passion about, I know that we fundamentally can learn to heal ourselves by tuning in to this quantum field, our inner self. I'm not 100% there yet. I know it's possible. And it's interesting, it's like my hands have ended up developing an issue where I could no longer do my work. So sometimes I've felt guilty or going, what am I doing wrong that I've created this? When I believe that I should be getting healthier and everything should be getting easier and everything should be resolving. In some parts and some areas of health in my life, that is absolutely true. It has. So I do feel that this hand issue has forced me to go down a path that I possibly was resisting. I always wanted to stay with my hands-on manual therapy work. And it's a reminder that I'm going deeper into deeper aspects of myself that I didn't allow myself to do before. Whether these hands ever get completely healed and back to normal, I don't know, but I'm open to the possibility that they will. I catch myself sometimes doing the work and then seeing if it's worked, which again, that's a pattern and a coping strategy. And I catch myself and go, yep, that's the ego or the old coping strategy, thinking it's doing some spiritual work and then looking to see how quickly it's changed something. And of course, it doesn't change. This source energy is smarter than that. I have to truly let go. I have to truly accept. So I know with my hands, it's a process, and I'm still in that process. Sometimes I think these things happen for metaphorical reasons and for other reasons that we don't quite know until a bit later. I knew one of the reasons was to get me out of the physiotherapy and to really commit to the somatic counseling and energy release path that I was absolutely wanting to do, but still loved helping people release via the fascia techniques that I was doing. So now I like to say that I do the same thing, but just no hands, releasing the energy blocks and patterns and helping people to see what's underneath them. So staying present isn't easy, but it's also the best way that we can stay connected to this source energy, to our inner wisdom. And it's a practice like anything else. I'm getting better at it. But like everyone else, it's just step by step improving it until I can learn to be present 100% of the time. And I'm not quite there yet. But I do know that presence and being in the moment is the greatest present I can give myself. It's the greatest present I can give my clients. And it's the greatest present I can give the world. So I'll just finish off with my quick meditation. If you'd like to do this with me, I strongly suggest you either sit down or lie down. If you like, you can close your eyes and place your hand over your heart and just take 3 low, slow breaths in through the heart area. And imagine you've just got light and love and wisdom filling up every cell of your body. 3 slow, slow breaths, breathing in through the heart center and filling up and imagining every cell in your body filling with light, love, wisdom. And as you breathe out, just imagine everything you no longer need is just being sent back to the field for recycling. Now just notice how you're supported on the surface that you're lying or sitting on. Notice your feet on the floor. If you like, you can imagine roots connecting you to the center of the earth, connecting you to the physical plane that provides us with all the oxygen, nutrients, materials that we need via the 4 elements: earth, fire, water, and air. You can give thanks to the earth and the 4 elements. And now turn your attention to the top of your head, crown chakra area, and imagine a cord extending out to the center of the universe, the great central sun. Imagine you're tuning in and connecting, plugging in to all that is. So now you're connected to the infinite energy of source energy and the universe, and below to the earth that provides everything we need for our physical experience. I invite you just to notice any sensations that are within the body, anything that wants to arise, any unpleasant sensations that want to be seen. Just know that you are safe and connected, and they are just sensations and energies that wish to have your attention. If there are unpleasant sensations arising, just witness them and notice them. Try and give a bit of distance between them, between you and them. Just be curious and non-judgmental. The unpleasant energies are the patterns and coping strategies and the unintegrated energies that we're holding on to. So now turn your attention back to your heart. Take 3 more slow, deep breaths in through the heart center, filling your body with light, love, wisdom again. Now I want you to notice how you feel as you're breathing in this light, love, and information. As you're noticing all your cells just filling up with this light. What sensations are arising as you're breathing in and filling up with love, light, and wisdom? Is there any joy? Is there any peace? Does it feel lighter? What sensations does it feel like in your body when you're breathing in light, love, and information from the infinite field, the universe that's all around you? Now, as this mini meditation draws to a close, just move your body on the chair or the bed that you're lying on. Just wiggle your toes and your fingers. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and just scan your body. Does it feel any different? Do you feel lighter, calmer, or maybe a pattern, some energy has come to the surface and feels safe to have your attention? Just know that as long as it's not overwhelming, that it's safe to just gently observe and be curious about these sensations. And just watch them, see what happens, and give them 24 hours and see what they are like in a day's time. So, for another week, I will wish you a great week, and I will talk again next week. Bye for now.